The holiday times are especially difficult for people who are estranged or who are no contact, especially because not only are you being bombarded by reminders of what you ran away from, what you can't return to, what you can't fix, what is dysfunctional, like not only are you being reminded of what you don't have, you're also being reminded of this performative narrative. Everyone's expecting you to, like, oh, what are you doing for the holidays? Oh, like, what are you doing for the holidays? You're going to be alone? Is that the reality of the situation? And it can feel really, really difficult, especially while you're trying to heal yourself or prioritize yourself, to face that fact, especially while everyone and everything is reminding you that, hey, are you going to be alone? What do you have? Like, where do you have to go? And then what do you say to people? I know that when I was, really going through the first couple of years of being no contact, it's been about 10 years now that I've been no contact from, all of my living relatives that, I needed to be no contact from. And the first couple of years were so difficult because how did I explain to my coworkers, oh, yeah, I don't talk to any of my relatives. I don't have anyone out here that I know. Yeah, no, I just live out here by myself. I had to come out here to escape. And then I didn't know how to talk about any of that. And the holidays were a gateway to being vulnerable. And I wasn't ready for that, especially because everything was so raw. And the holidays, especially, if you live where I live, everything in mid October starts becoming Christmassy. And it's too soon. And it's months of being reminded of the traditions that you're missing out on or the memories you didn't get to make that everyone else seems to share. And, the number one thing about shadow work is that you have to try to not hate yourself, right? You can't shame yourself. You can't judge yourself so harshly that you retreat further inward into yourself. You have to integrate the parts that you are disowning, the memories you don't want to remember, the parts of yourself you're pretending aren't there. You have to allow that to come out into the sunshine, so to speak. And in shadow work, it's really important to be transparent and authentic, especially with ourselves, but also with our environment, with the people that we're in it with. And, just in general, it's very important not to shy away from opportunities to really check in and express. Even though it's hard, even though it's very emotionally charged during these, holiday times, even if you don't celebrate, right? Just because this is that time where, you know what I mean. So, I really think it's important when doing shadow work, when we're not trying to shame ourselves and we're trying to, get to know ourselves, we have to ask ourselves some things. And one of the things I like to ask is, what is that primal, fundamental need that is not being met? What is the holiday time? What is this, situation, this, all this kerfluffle? What is happening that is making you like really realize what is not being met? What is still being needed? How are you being exposed to something that is lacking, right? And like, no matter what it is, you have to understand it's okay to want that. Whether it's safety, whether it's acknowledgement, whether it's, for example, with me, I remember, like I was never invited to any family holiday gathering, and when I finally was, nobody knew that my father like got married and had a kid because he was like just like such a drug addict, and like nobody like wanted to talk about him, and like my grandparents were very estranged because they were enablers, this whole thing. So like I just showed up when I was like 7 or 8, like at like my aunt's house, and like all of these other relatives that like I really don't even know who they were. I kind of remember their names. Like this one lady, her name was like Maggie or Margie. And they were like just so surprised, like, oh, like you're Polly's daughter? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And like my grandmother's like trying to introduce me to people, like, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was like no presents for me. Like no one knew I was like gonna show up. And I remember that lady, Maggie or Margie, she was holding a plantsetta plant, and she was so shocked, like looking at like little kid me. Like she like just like put this plant in like my hand. She was like, "Oh, here, here, here! Like happy holidays." I never understood why all these adults had that like that look on their face, and it was just like I don't know, like disbelief, like I don't know, very strange. So for me, that I guess is that lacking fundamental need, that is glaringly still lacking, 30 years later. And I have to remind myself like it's okay to want presents during the holiday time. It's okay, you're not crazy. The fact that your cousin she gave you used soap, it's okay to not want that, and watch all of your other kid cousins get like telescopes and rollerblades and like, all this fun stuff, and you get, used soap and a plant. It's okay to be upset by that. And you can't hold on to that for 30 years. Like, oh my God, you can't. So once we understand what these holidays or what this time is making us feel shameful of, what it's exposing that we want and allowing ourselves to want that, I feel like that's really important, right? And, I guess too, in the vein of that memory that I just shared with you, it's really important to understand what memories are tied with these feelings of shame, of resentment, of sadness, and to really allow ourselves to feel that full spectrum of that emotion. And, we don't have to blame, dad, mom, grandma, any of these relatives. We don't have to blame ourselves or resent ourselves, but we can just feel that feeling and just let it go. As soon as it allows us, as soon as it arises, we can just allow it to happen. And then we can just experience it and not shame ourselves for feeling that feeling. We're complicated, we're complex, we have so many emotions, we feel such a spectrum of emotions. So allow yourself to feel that. It's so important not to suppress things and not to put things in the shadow, not to, disown our lived experience. And you know what? We could also really think about what is that really true, that core message that we are trying to, our shadow self is trying to convey to our outward self. And I think with me, it's I don't ever want to feel not known. I don't ever want to not be included or, have people look at me like in disbelief, like, oh my God, like, what? You exist? What? Like, like I don't, and that's okay to feel that way. And the holiday times, it's been 10 plus years that everything fell apart and I fucked off so severely. And the holiday times, it's okay. We're here together to experience being estranged, being no contact, being self preservation y. You know the word. We're here to do that together, especially right now, And let me know if you have anything you want to talk about in terms of being no contact or being estranged during the holiday time. I would love to hear what you think or what your experiences are.